That hurts. I feel better now. So minus 5,000 right?
What now?
1 minus 5,000 feet.
One statue, 5,000, one nautical, 6,000.
The last.
Turns around a point.
Alright.
Ground reference maneuver. Anybody got a clock?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that.
I got the clock.
Okay.
Wrestling this thing? Make it work? Yeah, too much.
Good, you drive that. Go.
Alright, so we're starting right here. Everyone sees?
I got the clock.
No, like this.
No,
I'll
six.
put it in front of you.
No 6 minutes. Okay, that's good. That's good. I got the clock.
Here we go. So today we're going to be talking about turns around the point. Alright, turn around the point. And so what is a turn around the point? Turn around the point is when the airplane makes a uniform circle around the ground reference on the ground. Maintains, it's a turn around the point that's on the ground. An equal distance all around maintaining altitude. So that's what's so you just turn around the point on the ground using a point on the ground. Okay. Why do we do it? Because it makes you a better pilot overall. Makes the pilot have good judgment, orientation, because with the wind, division of attention inside the cockpit, and also self-awareness and coordination. So, let's start with how do we do it? How do you do turns around the point? Well, let's assume you're already coming back takeoff. You're already in the air, coming from Farmingdale, going to the practice area. Do your pre-moving checklist, and I would say we do the Cessna 172 as an equipment, and you do the pre-moving check in the airplane. Then you want to clear the area around. Okay. Now you want to be in maneuvering speed. So you clear the area, you select the point on the ground that's within gliding distance of a suitable landing field, and maneuvering speed in this airplane depends on the weight, max weight. Let's say we're using max weight, it's going to be 105. Okay? So clear the area, and you determine the wind. You want to get the winds on surface. You call flight service, or you see smoke stacks on the ground, or flags. So do clearing turns, do the checklist, and you want to enter 6 to 1,000 feet AG up above ground level. So you come in, you have a set reference point, a ground reference point. It could be a house or a building, as long as you have something. Now you determine the wind, right? And by the way, in turn around the points is a turn making the circle around the ground reference point using no more than 45 degrees. in bank angle. Okay, that's the max. Now, you determine the wind. You want to come in on the downwind.
Let's say this is our point. Let's say this is our point, right?
This is from the vertical, top down view. So let's say the wind is coming from here. And let's say this is wind, this is sea, this is the wind, let's say this is a house, right? So house. So the wind is coming in from here. Again, you've got the long distance, there's the traffic. You want to come in on the downwind side. The reason why you want to come in on the downwind side is because you want to initiate the steepest bank right over here. So you're going to be coming pretty much right by the downwind, initiate your 45 degree, and you want to maintain that altitude. You want to be coordinated, keeping that same altitude, 45 degrees. So you're flying. Hold on, just a moment. Okay, so you're coming downwind. You initiate your turn. The reason why you're doing the 45 degrees is because the wind is pushing you. So you want to maintain, because if you do a light bank angle, it's going to kind of blow you off. So you want to 45 degrees. This is the picture on the side window over here, looking at the left wing. You're putting the wingtip on the house, and you're doing 45 degrees as the wind. 45 degree bank angle as the wind. As you're coming to this part of the circle, you're going into a medium bank over here, right? Because the wind isn't really pushing you that much. So you just do whatever you can to maintain that wingtip on the house. As you get to more crosswind to upwind, by the way, medium bank is like around 30 degrees or so, 30 to 45 degrees. So as you get from a medium bank to a light bank, because the reason why you're going to do a medium bank to a light bank is because you're having more upwind. The airplane is going to want to push you. Because if you just continue your steep bank, you're going to be making a tighter turn. You want to correct by shallowing the bank, just enough to maintain that house on your wingtip and maintain a regular circle. So as your ground speed increases, the bank angle increases, and just the opposite. So you also want to maintain, you want to look for traffic at the same time. You want to be coordinated, and you look for traffic, coordination with the controls, and at the same time you're doing the, you're also looking for traffic. Now, it's a 360 degree turn, or a 1 to 2 turn turns around the point. You can do more, but minimum is 1 to 2. That's what it says in the difference on the handle. So now you're going upwind, and you want to turn the airplane. The shallowest bank is going to be over here. again, when I say banked, it's just enough to, you always want to maintain this picture. So you always want to put the wing tip on the reference point. Okay? Now, and as you, again, as you know, from here, from the shallowest bank into the wind, when you're going downwind, you have to increase your bank angle because you want to maintain equal radii circle. So, and also you just want to keep that at all times, keeping that up. So, that's how you would do a turning on a point. Okay, so completion standards. Exhibits instructions of the elements of purpose of turns around a point, which we discussed. How to select the proper altitude. Again, 600 to 1,000 feet above ground level, AGL. How to select the reference point with regards to emergencies. We also discussed that. Orientation, division of attention, and proper planning. So you're not just looking in, there's a lot going on. You're looking at the airspeed indicator, your altimeter. If your airspeed is decreasing due to the bank, you add power to maintain your airspeed. Coordination of the rudder pedals, hands on the throttle, hands on the yoke. So there's a configuration and airspeed prior to entry. So we discussed the pre-measured checklist. Entry procedure we discussed. Again, going into down, going from down. Initially your speed is going first. Wind correction, we talked about that. How many things are altitude and airspeed? It's just a distance from the point, which I just discussed now. Coordination of controls. We also discussed that. And now, the common errors is just the opposite as completion standards. Faulty entry procedure. You know, you're coming in upwind or downwind. Just the opposite of what the airplane flying handbook says. Poor planning and orientation of division. You're not looking for traffic. You're just doing your own thing. What I mean by your own thing is you're in your own world. You're just focusing on that point. You're on the wing tip or not, just the name. Just the main one. Uncoordinated use of controls. Let's say in your steep bank, you're not correcting for adverse yaw. Or airspeed for proper correction for drift. We also talked about at length your bank angle increasing as your ground speed increases to the wind is pushing you. Failure to maintain selected altitude or airspeed. It will be by moving speed and 6 to 1,000 feet above ground level. You want to be at a specific altitude. It could be anywhere from 6 to 1,000 feet above. No lower than 1,000 feet above AGL. No suitable landing area within throttle distance. You want to have an area within gliding distance. And demonstrates and simultaneously explains turns around a point. What it means is, besides for that they know how to fly. So they want you to explain it at the same time when you're doing it. So, and then you have analyzes and corrects the common errors. So, not too abrupt in pitch or correcting your errors. You also want to maintain plus or minus 100 feet Remember, you want to maintain an altitude, whether it be 800, whether it be 700. You want it to be selecting altitude 6 to 1,000 feet AGL. So plus or minus 100 feet on that. Then plus or minus 10 knots on the airspeed indicator. So we cut that with the model. And just a moment. And yeah, so to summarize and wrap it up, what is a turnaround point? Turnaround point is when the airplane is making maintaining a circle around a point on the ground, 360 degrees, using maintaining altitude and an equal radius around it. This is, also keeping the wings on the reference point on the ground. Then why we do it is, again, formation, visual attention, orientation, formation, makes you better pilot overall, and ground questions.
Dead on the money. Question.
I feel like I missed something.
Question
Yeah.
for you.
No, it's before the question, it's very good because as an instructor, you need to have time management. You've gotta have time management. If you don't have time management, your schedule is really terrible. I mean, you're gonna have students waiting for you. I mean, you gotta really, and you're doing it. You're really doing it. You really notice, this is my time. I got another student coming in about 10 minutes. I gotta get on the ground. I gotta do, same thing with this. It starts from 15 minutes here, but it goes into an hour and a half lessons down the road. It's very important. Time management, very important. And I don't have anything to say other than, I don't. Question.
You mentioned equal radius.
Around the ground reference point.
What's equal radius?
Private pilot practical test standards?
It's you want it the same distance from that point.
The distance from the point?
Yeah.
Okay, one of the things I heard you said initially make a 45-degree back. Why 45 degrees?
Well, the reason why you do a 45-degree bank is because you're coming down the downwind, and what's going to happen is if you do, let's say, a shallow bank, is you're not going to. The purpose of the turnaround point is because, let's say you do a 45-degree bank from over here, which is a steep turn. Let's say if you do a shallow one, which I described over here, you're not going to maintain that circle. You're going to have an edge shape. It's going to hold the edges around it.
Okay. Next question. Is the 45-degree bank to initially to set my radius?
No. What it means is, initially you just put your wing on the ground reference point, but up to 45 degrees of bank. No more than that. Yeah.
So when I'm doing ground reference maneuvers, the wing has to be on the ground reference point, correct?
Yeah.
Does that allow me to maintain only one certain distance, or can I maintain different distances in terms of radius?
In terms of radius, you can have whatever distance. It doesn't say specifically your distance, but what happens is the smaller the radius, the smaller the circle, the tighter and the more bank you're going to have in order to maintain your distance. So imagine flying. Imagine making a circle. This is, let's say, 1,000 feet. Let's say this is 1,000 feet, right? So let's say that's normally how we do a radius turnaround point. Let's say you want to do it 1 mile away from your ground reference point. You're going to have very, very shallow bank. Because if you do a steep one,
Yes, that's why I asked about the 45 degrees. Because you said initially make it 45 degrees.
Right, so you just, so what you do is just put the wing on the ground reference point, and basically what's gonna happen then is you're gonna be at your steepest angle thing then, because you're coming in downwind, but yeah, but you can do it up to 45 degrees. You don't wanna do any more than that.
So up to 45 degrees.
Yeah. You don't wanna also be way too close that.
Yes, but 1,000 feet is like right there, man. 1,000 feet.
No, it was just
I guarantee you have to do 60 degrees of bank for 1,000
no,
feet.
no, no, but it was just a reference. Let's say, I don't know, 3,000.
I mean, 1,000 feet is like the
It's just a
distance
reference.
between the runway numbers and the touchdown point. That's 1,000 feet. You say they maintain 1,000 feet with 45 degrees of bank?
Let's say 3,000. It was just a reference kind of type of thing.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I got lost here. This is 1,000 feet AGL, or this is 1,000 feet from the point?
1,000 feet AGL, that's ground level.
That's what we're talking about.
No.
No.
He's asking, well,
I
how
asked for
close?
radius, and he gave me a radius of 1,000 feet.
As a
In terms of
reference.
distance from the reference point, 1,000 feet, and I was like,
Yeah, I also gave an example of 1 mile. So I was just explaining how the closer you are, the more bank you're going to need.
So this is your point. This is your circle. Okay? Is it 1,000 feet from a straight line on the ground from
Yeah.
where the airplane is, or a
Yeah.
straight line from the point to where the airplane is as it's circling? Because if it's 1,000 feet high here to the altitude, 1,000 AGL,
no, it's not to the altitude, it's actually to the
it
aircraft.
can be a longer vector, 1,000 feet ground on the point, on the circle, if it's a straight line from the airplane to the point.
Yeah,
Air line.
yeah.
Yeah, we weren't talking about that. He was.
But
He
it's
asked me
simple.
why
Keep it
1,000
simple.
feet.
This is the point.
Okay?
I'm 1,000 feet away from the ground.
Bring the airplane. Does the airplane here, 1,000 feet here, or airplane down on the ground 1,000 feet?
1,000 feet here.
1,000 feet here, that's what you meant.
That's what he's asking.
No, that's what the example he gave me.
Oh, okay.
Just an example. I also gave an example of 1 mile away.
But I'm saying
Which is-
1,000 feet, maintain 1,000 feet.
Exactly. So
The actual aircraft is ridiculous.
right. So that was the point I was trying to say. You asked me how far should you do it from this point. So I gave you an example of 1,000 feet, where you're always going to have to be pretty much in a steep bank angle, or you can, or if you do one at, let's say 1 mile, you're always going to be in a shallow bank.
Okay.
So
Okay. But you said initially, this is what I'm trying to get. So you present and said initially make a 45-degree back. That's what you said. I don't understand
Okay.
that.
okay, so let me correct myself and say that you just put the wing on the ground reference point. And I mean, you're going to be downwind again. The wind is coming this way,
Sure.
so you're going to be on the downwind, entering downwind, which you want to be. And downwind is a place where there's the steepest bank angle.
And what distance should I maintain from the object in terms of distance from the object where it is not at?
It's just if you keep on
Yes, but does that give me a specific distance when I put the wings on the point or not really?
well, how can I say it? Well, on the downwind, you're gonna kind of like usually. Listen, can you say your question again?
Yes. When you're doing drawing circles and point, right?
Yeah.
Do I have to put the wing on the point? And if I do put the wing on the point, does that give me a specific distance away from that point?
Yeah.
So I get a specific distance. What is that distance?
I don't know. I'll get back to you. It's
One
the
other
distance
question.
that you set.
Yeah, one other question. Can I make it ground reference unit. This is the ground reference unit, correct?
Yeah.
Can I do a turns on the front 1 mile away from the object? Is it acceptable for me to do turns on the front 1 mile away from the object?
1 mile?
Yes.
Acceptable? Listen, nobody's stopping you, but
I'm just asking. You're gonna train me,
it's not the proper way how to do it. No.
So what's in terms of distance? How close or far should I be? Because if 1 mile is too far, how close should I be?
I would say enough, just enough that you can see the difference between, wind correction, because you also have to see wind correction. So I'm assuming that, just enough that you can, see the difference
But it shouldn't be over a mile.
between whether you're downwind or upwind.
But it shouldn't be over a mile.
Again, just enough for you to see to recognize the difference.
I don't know. You just said a mile is too much. That's what I'm asking.
Do you want to be closer and see?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do we have to do a left turn, turns on our point, or we can do right too?
You can do right too. As long as it's 360 degrees.
Yes, a question. In terms of the object, right? Let's say it's 1,500 foot tower. Can we do turns on the point on it? Around it?
In the airplane flying canvas, it doesn't mention any, height, so to say, but as long as you maintain your distance, you have a set, let's say it's 1,000-foot tower.
No, it's 1,500 feet.
It's 1,500 feet.
Yes.
So as long as you have a point that you want to, circle, that you want to maintain that radius, just that selected point that you're having your wingtip placed. I would say do it on the house. If you do it on the freedom tower,
Yes.
then the point is going to be, you're going to be 600 to 1,000 feet AGL. The freedom tower is at like 1,000 plus feet. So if you're going to put your wingtip at the antenna, and you're going to be flying the opposite way. Well, hey, I'm putting my wingtip on the tower, right? But you're actually turning the opposite way.
I don't know.
Please don't do it on a freedom.
If you do, you don't know him, or me.
Please don't do turns around a point around the freedom tower, please.
You don't know the school.
As
We don't know you.
As an instructor, as a student, whatever it is.
Let me wipe my fingerprints off your books.
You know. I know this guy. He always comes here with his students to do turnaround point. Yeah. Yeah, I've been in this office doing computer work for the last 3 months. I know that tel number. Right off my window. Every freaking Saturday when I work overtime. That's him. Son of a gun. I'm actually looking for the reference. I mean, it's a good question. I mean, 1,500-foot tower, I believe there's minimum obstacle altitude in the regs. Distance from towers or buildings or something in the regs. I just don't have the reference this time.
And one of the reasons why I asked because I don't know about New York, but in Florida, we have a lot of towers.
In Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of 1,500 feet towers. Perhaps.
Also in New York.
Freedom Tower? Listen to me.
You asked way too many questions. You're fired. That's it. No.
one of those smart, you know,
Complicated
smart,
students.
complicated student that's gonna give you a hard time. You're gonna have those. Minimum altitude.
Yeah.
As it pertains to this aircraft, right?
Yeah.
As it pertains to this system of 122 S,
Yeah.
you said the maneuvering speed was 105? So we do the maneuver at 105 knots?
You don't want to exceed it.
And what altitude can we select?
Imagine you're going at like 160 knots.
I got the reference, minimum safe altitude. Anywhere, an altitude allowing if a power unit fails an emergency landing without undue hazard to person or property on the surface. So basically, if you have an engine fail, you need enough altitude to get down and be safe without hitting anyone or hurting anyone. That's minimum safe altitude, okay? They disregard. That's anywhere. Over congested areas, over any congested area of the city, Freedom Tower, town, settlement, or over any open assembly of persons, an altitude of 1,000 feet above highest obstacle within a horizontal radius of 2,000 feet of the aircraft. So above the Freedom Tower, you got to be 1,000 feet above the highest. If you're above the antenna, 1,000 feet, you'll be in problem. And at least 2,000 feet radius, horizontal radius. So 2,000 distance from that obstacle. That's congested. Over other than congested area, an altitude of 500 feet above the surface, except over open water or sparsely populated areas. In those cases, the aircraft may not be operated closer than 500 feet to any person's vessel, vehicle, or structure. So if you're over the water,
Or how about like over farms? Like you know in the let's go.
it says sparsely populated areas. So if there's a farm and there's no vessel, vehicle, person, you can go lower than 500.
So a house
20
is
feet.
a structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
500.
A flat surface, you know.
Wow.
It's gonna be at 20 feet. Well, you have an engine failure. Oh, it's just gonna land.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the Everglades, you can just go put
I don't know, I don't know
Nice
about
if
it.
you have floats.
I don't know about
Yeah, that's from $40.
Helicopters, powered parachutes, and weight shift control. Now that's a completely different category of aircraft. So they have on the regs, helicopters, powered parachutes, and weight shift control. Operations conducted within hazard to personal property of the service. The helicopter may operate at less than the minimum prescribed in B and C, which is on top, provided each person operating the helicopter complies with any routes altitude specifically prescribed by the helicopter of the FAA. A powered parachute and weight shift control aircraft may be operated at less than the minimum prescribed paragraph C of this section. So, you know what's weight shift control?
Like those, I know Flight Simulator that have one of those airplanes in Flight Simulator apps, where the guy is like sort of sitting outside the airplane,
Isn't it an airplane?
and well, it has wings. It has a
Weight shift control.
like the way
Not
how
an
he
airplane.
It's not an airplane.
Not
Weight
an
shift
airplane.
control.
right, but the way how he turns it, how he turns the aircraft is like with a bar. Okay?
You shift your weight. When you shift your weight, you change the center of gravity and it turns.
Can't the heavy person do that?
So there's no
One person?
minimums for those. So you can go with weight shift control and just
Not really. Because in a 172 you don't move.
No, I'm saying.
You don't move. You're sitting in one seat. It's not like jumping
No.
over to one seat and to the other.
Well, what I'm saying is, let's say you have like a really like big, fat person. It's flying at 172, and then he just jumps and it can turn, right?
absolutely.
So, isn't it weight shift?
Absolutely. I trimmed my airplane for
Loosely.
straight and level flight.
Loosely.
Light aircraft, you know, small 1,200 pounds.
Lean forward. Nose down. Yeah. 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 We have a video on the Florida. We were in Florida. Lean forward, it goes down.
Move right, move right. There you go. Move left. There you go. I swear to God, it was a light aircraft. A passenger airplane. Sometimes there's a line in the back of the bathroom.
Oh, you
Yeah.
noticed it?
You look at the trim wheel.
Yeah.
I never saw anything.
Because as the weight shifts back,
The aircraft has to go
as the
forward.
weight shifts back, the tail is heavier. Tail is heavier,
Pitch up.
nose starts coming up. You see the trim, the big trim where the console.
Going down.
Like changing the trim to compensate. Because the autopilot's on, and the autopilot is moving the trim. The autopilot is not moving the flight control, it's moving the trim. It's connected to the trim servo. That's what it's moving.
Oh, that problem is by specifically El Al, where they asked for Yeshua Yad.
That's a big issue right there.
What happened?
When they do tefillah, when they daven, pray to God, they do it in the back.
Everyone. So you guys are
talking
like,
40 people in the back davening over there.
yeah, I took that El pilot. Actually, like a front, yeah. Yeah, it's an issue.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow passengers, we do apologize for any inconvenience. We do have 40 people in the back during the daven minyan in the morning. We need 40 volunteers to move to the first class.
They temporarily speaking of it.
Temporarily to balance the aircraft. Oh! Okay, back to business. Any questions? Brad, this kind of question.
Exhausted, man.
Exhausted.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Ouch!
We said upon entry to the turns on the front,
You
right?
can hold up. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
We're almost done. Yeah, we're almost done.
Don't rush though, you know, do what you
No,
gotta do.
don't rush, don't rush.
You know,
No, but
take
we're
your
almost done.
time, yeah.
We're almost done. We're almost done. Yeah, it's getting late. We're almost done. Coffee, whatever. We're almost done. Question.
Yeah, upon entry, right? We said enter downward, right? So you have the steepest bank of downward. That's what I understand, right? So as you go around, do you maintain that same back or do you shower the back?
No. Over here. I did mention that.
You shower the back?
That as you, so you initiate the steepest point over here, just enough to bring your radius. As you get to over here in the circle, you can like do like steep to medium bank turn. Over here you do a medium bank turn. Over here you kind of shallow it out. Medium to shallow, very shallow. At that point, you're just gonna be like straight and level flight. Well, I'm not gonna, it's not gonna be straight and level flight, but it's gonna be really shallow bank. Because, you know, imagine doing the steep bank over here. You're just gonna go into the circle. So it'll be very shallow banks over here. And then as you proceed over here, the medium bank.
Okay. Let me ask another question, right?
So what one you said?
How do I exit this maneuver?
You exit the maneuver on the upper.
On the upper?
You're over here, right? You come over here. And exit on over here. Just as you enter, that's how you finish.
Is it upwind?
Upward? Sorry, down.
I would say exit the maneuver on the same entry heading. The other coast.
Okay, right.
Don't get confused. Upwind, downwind, the same entry heading that you're going with the wind, you're gonna depart that same way.
Right, because you have to make that 300, 400, full 360 degrees.
Good.
So I didn't bring the pillow.
You said wingtip on the house. somehow I had the wingtip falling off and going right into the house. What do you mean by wingtip on the house? Put the wingtip on the house?
I drew an image over here. Like looking from like the left side of the window in the airplane. You want to basically put it on the reference line.
Wingtip on the reference line. So this is my airplane.
What's the wind? Yeah.
This is the house, and I'm going downwind. Wingtip on the house. When I come back this way, then the airplane is here now. Is it still on the?
No, it is, but it's going to be on a shallower bank. But it's going to be more. It's not going to be the same image, if that's what you're asking. But it's still going to be aligned with the wingtip.
For example, in a steep bank, let's say the wind will drop all the way down to here. But as you go upwind, let's say that image was when you were over here. Now, when you're over here, by the upwind, let's say, it's not going to be as steep. So this is my point. Wind's behind. Okay? Pushing me. As I'm making that turn, I get drifted away. I keep it tighter. Where's my wingtip?
Right. It's not going to be exactly on it, but it's going to be initially more of a bank. And as you, let's say,
now I'm turning away. I'm going into the wind.
The wingtip is going to be maybe, let's say, 10 degrees or something like that.
Okay.
It's going to be more like that.
Okay.
So
and I'm turning, and now the wind is pushing me. So I realize I'm getting pushed into the point. Oh my God, I got to maintain that radius, and I'm actually turning to the opposite direction to get away from that point because I don't want to get blown up. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. So I'm actually banking to the right because of the wind to maintain that drift.
Right.
Where is my wingtip? It's off.
In the stars.
To the stars.
On the sun.
Oh my God, it's even worse. I'm like trying to get that distance from that point. So whatever I'm doing here is really going in the opposite direction to maintain that drift when the wind is really, really strong here, pushing me. Now as I'm turning here, all of a sudden I see that the bank was too much and I'm drifting away. I'm actually going back this way to maintain my distance. And then right here, changing my bank is necessary, and then departing on the same entry heading. So my question is, do I really maintain the wingtip on the point? Or I'm actually, who cares about my wingtip? I don't care about my wingtip, but my distance from that point is my goal, to include coordinated flight controls, plus or minus 100 feet on the altitude, plus or minus 10 knots on the airspeed. So I don't care about my bank angle. What I care about is the distance. And I think there's a little bit